Now, what I want us to look into today is uh, just a brief overview on inheritance, some of the aspects of object-oriented programming. And we said they are majorly four. We have inheritance, we have abstraction, we have polymorphism, and also we have what we call it, encapsulation. In this lecture, what I want us to look into is how some of these can be incorporated now in our projects. So what I'll do, I'll create a project from scratch. The IDE that I'm using, we say that an IDE is an integrated development environment. So this IDE, it just contains tools that will help us to write our programs in a particular language or a particular tech stack. So in this case, we are using Java. And for Java, one of some of the best IDEs by JetBrains, and what I'm using is called IntelliJ IDEA. There are also others such as NetBeans and also Eclipse and some others too. You can also configure Java to be done on Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. So it's just a matter of preference. Personally, my poison is normally IntelliJ, so I'll just create a new project and call it object oriented programming. And my language is Java. And what else? JDK is present. What's wrong? Object-oriented programming, white space. So this is the problem with what I was telling you when you write your words with spaces. It's not recommended at all. So I'll just do that and create my project. So in the computer, it normally doesn't like white spaces quite a lot. Even in Java, you can't name your variable and have a space. It's actually illegal. Your program won't run. So now we have the main program, which is the hello world program. And what it does, it just prints out hello world. So if I can run this file, let me run it so that you can see my output and also to confirm that everything is working. So yeah, you can see the output here. Down here is hello world. So this is my output. If I wanted to change this output, we say that whatever you put in the println statement, that is what is going to be output. So if I say welcome to object oriented programming class, it should output welcome to object oriented programming class. And let me run my code and see what it outputs. I hadn't clicked run, and yeah, it says welcome to object oriented programming class. So this is what we said about the system.out.println. And something else I told you is that this system is actually a class that Java has written. So I think in my IDE, I can go to this system class and see what is in there. So let me just click. So you can see that we have public final class system. Okay, so this is the system class that Java has written for us. so it has so many methods and everything that you would use maybe to output or get input from the user. So let's see how many lines of code it has. So as you can see, it's quite a massive class. Just take a look. It has 2,496 lines of code, and that is just one single class. So this is just the system class. Another class that we said is something like the string class. String maybe name. So if you write something like string name, Eric, this string is also a class in Java. The way you'll be writing your own classes, Java wrote their own class called string to help you to uh, to, to, to manipulate text or this something like these strings. So let's see whether we can access the string class. And as you can see, what I'm doing so that I can access the classes, I think you can also do it in maybe your IDEs, maybe the NetBeans or Eclipse or any other IDE. I'm pressing Control, okay, Control, and then you highlight. It will give you, it will underline the class. So it's underlining the string, and you can see that the cursor is changing to a clickable object. And after clicking, it goes to the string class. And you can see now this is the string class. So the public final class string, and implements. So this keyword implements is used in is used when dealing with interfaces. So all these are different interfaces that the string class implements. So for an interface, these are all other classes. So it's just classes communicating with other classes. So as you can see, this constable, it's also another class. This constant description desk is also another class. So this is how different classes communicate with each other. So it's just to show you that in object-oriented programming, it's different classes that are communicating with each other. And as you can see, this string class, it's so massive. I think it's actually even massive than the system class, because there's so much that you can do with the string variable. So you can see it's actually almost double. So it has 4,642 lines of code. So these are the classes that the Java producers at maybe Oracle, which acquired Java, they wrote or they maintain or they add features. I have seen something like the escape characters, right? You see, these are the escape characters that we normally use. Something like \n is called a line feed. So if you want to look deeper into maybe how everything in Java works around, you can be looking around these classes and you will actually find everything that we use. Form feed, we've never used \f, I didn't even know about it. \b is a backspace. \t, we have used it, is tab. So this is the function that is normally used to read all those, what do we call them? The escape characters. So you can see all of them are defined here. And yeah, this is a string class. This is the system class. And now from our main, we will now be able to create our own classes. And the same thing, the same way that we will be using our own classes, you normally write the class name and then the variable name, and then you maybe give it an initial value. So in this case, it's a string. So you say string name, and then you give it the actual name of the class. In this case, my string name is Eric. And for our objects, we will see that we'll be using the keyword new mostly. But yeah, So I think there has to be somewhere where you can do that for string. But now for our objects, you see that we will be using the new keyword to create our objects and our different classes. So let me just let me just start from scratch. And how we can create our own classes is actually very simple. You can decide to create your own class inside another class. So this is the public class main. If you wanted to create another class here, you can say public, no, let's not make it public, but public class student. Should be declared in a file named student. Exactly. So now this is what I was telling you. If you have your class named public, the file that contains that class has to be exact same name as student, the same way that our class main has its file name up here named main, here where you can see my cursor. So I can't use public class student because this file is not named student. So if I wanted to do that, I would have to remove the access modifier public and say class student. So I'm creating another class in this main class. So you can do this, or you can use different files. The other thing would be you create a different file. So I can delete this and then come here, right click, and then new Java class. And then now name it student. And now this one, you can see it has been named public class student. And you can see that the file name up here, let me close these Java and system classes and also the POM so that we can work with the two classes that we have. So you can see here that the student is named public class student, of which student is the actual file name of the file. So that just shows you that for you to have it as public, you have to have the same file name. And now how can we use this student? We want to use that student class that we have created in the main class. As you can see that we have nothing to display on the main class. If I run my program, there would be absolutely no output. So this is the output that was there before. As you can see, there's no output. The output normally starts from here in the middle. And what we want to do is now instantiate our student object and use it in the main class. So let us learn about some of the aspects of what do we call it? We call it object-oriented programming. So let me just write a few notes. These are the multi-line comments that we said. The multi-line comments, you normally start with the / star and then */. So this will enable you to write comments. Object-oriented programming, and it has four pillars, or what do we call them? The four attributes, or the four core concepts. Let's say the core concepts of OOP, object-oriented programming. Why is it the word is normally spelled with a hyphen? Okay, then hyphen you go. So one of the core concept is inheritance. Okay, inheritance. We will look deeper into that. The other one is inheritance abstraction. And then number 3 is polymorphism. Then number 4 is encapsulation. Encapsulation. And these are the core concepts, especially inheritance is actually used quite a lot, and that is what I want us to cover today. And inheritance, it works the same as literal inheritance in real life. So you'll see that it actually works the same as how you would inherit things maybe from your parents, or maybe you'd inherit maybe possessions or vehicles from your someone or from your loved ones. Abstraction is normally hiding stuff, hiding the complexities. And for polymorphism is how objects react differently. And encapsulation is protection, levels of protection. So here is where you'll find yourself using things as public, private, and then protected. You might have already found yourself using public, maybe private. Now for protected, this is normally used when it comes to inheritance. You will get to see what something like protected does. But protected means if a variable is protected, it can only be accessed by that class and the inheritors only, unlike being public or private. For private, it can only be accessed by the classes from that class. But for public, anyone can access it. But now for protected, it lies where we have inheritance, of which we'll look at inheritance. So if you see these things as public, just know they are a way of encapsulating stuff, like how you normally have the capsule. So encapsulation is from the word capsule, and the capsule is the medicine that normally has the powder inside, maybe a very bitter powder, but now it's capsulated, so that when you drink it, you don't have the, what do you call it, the powder doesn't hurt your mouth, or you don't feel disgust. So that is how encapsulation works. In this case, we now have created our student class, and we said a class acts normally as a blueprint, and it has, what do we call it, it has do we call them methods and also variables, and these variables, they are what we call instance variables. So a class will have different variables, and now these are what we call the attributes. So the correct word is the attributes. So a class has the attributes and the methods. Attributes for maybe a student, so these are the different features that a student can have. And what are these different features that a student can have? A student can have a name, a student can have a let's say first name, then last name, then number 3, surname is one word, surname, and they can have a age, they can have a height, they can have gender, they can have something like if reg number. So if we are creating a system for a school, we'll have a reg number, a height, your gender, your course, number 8, your course, and also number 9, to check whether you have paid your fees, we said you can have is fees paid. And this is a question, so meaning it mostly has to be a Boolean. So now these are the different features that a student can have, which we call them the attributes. And in these attributes, you have to ask yourself which data type will you be using for all these. So I know this is simple for you, it's quite trivial. So for the first name, this is a string because we'll have to use a name. The same thing, string, and also this is a string. Now for an age, this is a different case. Age is a number. People say age is just a number. So it's just a number. And our just a number is an int. Also for height, oh no. My lights are gone, so let me just hotspot my network. So can you hear me? My internet connection was disrupted by the lights. I've just hotspotted my network. I hope everyone can hear me. Thank you, Basil. So I think I'll just skim over things and just rush because I don't know how long my machine will hold up. So for the height, and I hope you can also see my screen too. I hope you can also see my screen. Okay, thank you so much. I'll just rush now. So for the height, it's an int. For gender, we can use gender. It can be either, let's say it will be male, which will be represented by M, or female, which will be represented by F. I hope there are no gender activists or non-binary, I don't know. We'll just deal with that later. Reg number, this has to be a string because the format of the reg number, it includes characters and also numbers and also hyphens and also all that. So this has to be a string, and the course also a string. And we say that is fees paid is a Boolean. And now what we need to do now is write all these attributes in our class. Write all these attributes in our class. The first thing was public string, and string has to be capital S, public string, first name, public string, surname, and then public string last. Did we call it last name? I hope we called it last name. Okay. Then the other one is age, height, gender. So public int age, public int height, and then public int, no, for gender we've said it's a character, gender. And then what else do we have? Reg number, course, and it's fees paid. Public string reg number, and then public, after storage number, we had course public string course, and then public boolean is fees paid. Now what we call, these are the attributes of our student, and we can maybe have a method that can display the student's name. So we can have a method like public void display student's name, and what it will do, it will display, it will say system.out.println and say my name, my first name is, then say first name, then plus first name, and we can duplicate this line. How do we duplicate? Control D, then say my last name is, then last name, and we duplicate again and say my surname is surname, and that is it. So we have this method display student's name, and now how can we access this method? To access this method, we just create an object of the class. And how do we create an object of the class? We just come here, instantiate the class. And how do we instantiate the class? We write the class name and then name the object, and then name the object. So we just say student. So this is the name of the object, student is equals to new student. So we have created a new student using the new keyword. Objects are created using the new keyword, and that is how we can now create our new object. And now having this student, you can see that we are in the main class. Having this student, we can now access everything that is on this student class. We can access the first name, the surname, and the last name, and also we can access this display student's name method. And to show you that, we can say student, the variable now itself, dot display student's name. We have called this method that is on the student class, and it will display the student's name. So what do we expect it now to do? It will display my first name is first name, my last name is last name, my surname is whatever you have provided for the last name. But in this case, remember, there is nowhere where we have set the first name, surname, or last name. So it should display things to do with null because we haven't set up anything. If I run my program, let me just run it. Why are you not running? And as you can see, my first name is null, my last name is null, my surname is null. And the reason why it's displaying on the same line is because I know I have used print instead of println. Let me see exactly. So you can see I have used print instead of println, print line. So you can see the difference between print and print line. Now if I run this, my main method, if I run this now, it should display in different lines. As you can see, my first name is null, my last name is null, my surname is null. If I want to now give those values, if I want to say that my first name is Eric, I can just come here and say, before displaying, I say student, dot first name, and then is equals to, give it a value, Eric, and then student dot last name is equals to Mwenda. And then let me just run so that you can see it has fixed the first two, but it hasn't fixed the third one because exactly because I haven't given it a value. So you can see my first name is Eric, my last name is Mwenda, and my surname is Null. And what I'm going to do as the last thing is give it the surname. So you say student dot surname is equals to Kenya, and that is it. As you can see, my first name is equals to Eric, my last name is Mwenda, and my surname is Gakenya. So I hope up to there we are together. And as you can see, we are using the display method that is on the student class. We have not displayed anything on the main method. What we are doing is calling the student object and calling that display function. So I hope up to there we are together. I hope we are together up to there and you can still hear me. Okay. So yeah, I don't know, my battery is not that good, but let's see how far it can hold up. And now it will be the same thing if we want to display the age, the height, and the gender. We can have a method to display the age and height. So public void void display height and gender, and say system dot out dot println my height is equals to, then plus height, and you do the semicolon and say my gender is, it will now display whether it's gender is either a character, is either what, is either male or female. Now here you can say student dot display height and gender. So after displaying these three details, it will now display the height and the gender, which will be having null for now, but for a character I think it's 0. Yeah, null. For a character is also null. For the height is normally instantiated at 0. So the height is normally 0 and the gender is null. To take care of that, before displaying the height and gender, you say student dot height is equals to maybe 150 centimeters. And for the gender, student dot gender is equals to, you see that you can say something like male because gender is actually a character, and you say the character is just one word, one character, either M or F. So you say M, and you can also not say that because you are using double quotes. We say that a character has to use single quotes. As you can see, when I use single quotes, it just fixes everything. And now if I run my program, you can see my height is 150 and my gender is M. My first name is Eric, my blah 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 blah, everything. So this is how you can set different values and attributes to your classes. Okay, so this is how you can set all these attributes in your classes. So what else can we look at? Let's say now we had a private variable. So let's say that the reg number was very crucial. But something that is crucial is something like a password. So let's say private string password. So this is your password to log into the portal, students portal. And now this one is very private. So this password can only be set in this class. So you can say that your password is equals to maybe 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 password. You can say your password is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So if I tried to say student dot password, it will tell me that I'm not allowed to view the password. So we can have a method like where is it? If I tried to say student dot password is equals to whatever. So just wait and see the error that it will give me. It says that password has a private access. So that means I cannot access the password. And so to maybe access this password, I can use a method. I can come to this student class and create a method that returns the password. So I can create a method, public method. So it will be returning the password. So I will call it public string. That means this method will be returning a string. So public string get user password. And what does it do? It returns the password. Okay, it will return the password. So this is how I can only get the password by using a public method, since my variable here for password is private. So how can I use this now to display? Now to display the password, I can say that I can actually display the password now here. System dot out dot print ln and say my password is, and then just say then let me just do that. My password is, and then say student dot get user password. And this is now what will get the password. So just see how it flows. Student is the instance object that we created up here to give us access to this student class. And now we are saying student dot get user password. And this get user password is a method that we have defined in the user class, of which it's this method right here. And it returns a string. And what is that string? That string is the private variable password. So this is how encapsulation can be used to hide maybe data that we don't want people to modify, because when it's private like this, nobody can ever modify these 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Nobody can ever modify it unless you create a public method to modify this password. So this is the how encapsulation works. So encapsulation entails with private, public, and the other keyword which we'll use is protected. So it has those three different levels of privacy. So when we set our password to this, it can never be changed up until you yourself you write a method. Unlike how you can be changing the first name, you can change the surname. Like if I came here and said that the last name is George, you can see it doesn't have any problem. But for something like the password, I can't access it at all. I can't access it at all. And to do that, I have to use this method that will return now the password. And if I run this program, you'll see that it will get the password and say my password is 123456 7. So I have ran my program and it's passing and compiling. And as you can see, my password is 123456 7. So this is the only way you can display the password. So I think what we have looked at today is now the encapsulation bit of it. We haven't been able to look at how do we call it, inheritance, because uh, I don't think my battery will hold up longer. I have no charge, and I hope we are there. I hope we have understood how maybe encapsulation works. So encapsulation is normally having things private or public or protected. I hope now we have gotten how we can create our objects, how we can create our instance variables, which are these, or the attributes, and how we can create different methods in our OOP classes. Yeah, I hope we are together. Yeah, I hope you can hear me, everyone. Okay. So I think I'll be stopping there because I have made a recording, and I don't think if I continue, my machine can just stop or just turn off before I save the recording. So I will upload this recording for maybe those who haven't checked in for the class, and I'll share a link maybe to YouTube. Yeah, I'll upload it on YouTube, and next we'll be able to now learn in depth on inheritance. So today we've mostly touched on objects, creating objects, instantiating them, and some little bit of encapsulation. You'll also cover that in your theory classes. And yeah, you've seen how everything is like. And as you can see, I changed my name to George, right? Eric George, because that variable for name is actually public. So that is why I was able to change the name. But for password, there is no way I can change this password because it's private, and I cannot do that until I write a method that can change that. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for checking in on this lesson. We will check on inheritance later, maybe physically. And yeah, I'll be uploading the session. So before my machine turns off, let me just save this recording so that I can upload for you guys later. Yeah, thank you.